lives are on fire. Oh, it's Nathan's Knucklehead podcast, show for us all. The Knuckleheads unite, big ideas stand tall. Real estate and life with a whimsical twist. Once you tune in, it's a show you won't resist.
And hey, Michella, thanks for coming here today and talking to me. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, Nathan. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So we've talked before. We're both in the Sub 2 community. I've been watching a lot of your interviews because there's a lot of them on over the past year and on YouTube. So I encourage other people to go and watch all the other podcasts you've done. I kind of want to kind of differentiate myself. It's kind of the theme of the podcast is kind of be a little bit different. If I could just cut to the chase and give you a quick introduction, I'd love to do that. I don't normally do that, but there's so much to talk about. I just wanted to say here that you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a marketing director for global Fortune 500 companies, brands like Mars, Crayola, Johnson Johnson. You apply a data-driven approach from your marketing career, focusing on consumer behavior, analytics, and strategic forecasting to multifamily real estate syndication. You source and underwrite large apartment deals, 8 million to 30 million, usually in high growth, tech driven markets like Louis, where she partners with investors and co-owns assets, often around class B, class A and B properties. You also educate people with your website and about syndications and emphasizes ethical partnerships with a thorough due diligence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Anything in there that you want to add?
Well, like not a lot. This is totally accurate and correct. So, the only thing I would say is that in case it is helpful to anybody out there, I have switched my career path several times. And so, but the way I do it is not exactly that I don't like something or I get bored, so I drop it. It's more that I am looking for a more interdisciplinary approach to things. So yeah, like if just in case like anyone out there wants to grow their career in any way, no matter which industry you're in, I would just encourage you to always go outside of your comfort zone to explore more things for yourself.
That's great. It sounds like you're integrate. Integrate was a huge word there, but a lot of your skills kind of seem to be naturally integrated. I don't know if I'm using the right word there, but your marketing goes along a lot with real estate. I mean, marketing goes with a lot of different things. And you're still at your W-2,
Mm-hmm.
working as, what's your title there?
A marketing director.
Marketing director? Okay. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I tend to wake up early to start my day, and I am a very process-driven person, meaning that no matter it's in real estate or in my W-2 job, I focus a lot of building processes and building the environment that people can all work together. So I got very fortunate that I have team members, no matter it's on the real estate side or my W-2 side, that are very talented, they know what they're doing, and they are always very accountable. But what they need, I discover sooner or later, is that they need someone to take them to a direction. And they also need somebody who will be able to like take them through step by step what should be done in a streamlined way so they don't end up catching their own tail or they don't keep doing repeated things without productivity. So yeah, I think this is my skill set and where I come in, meaning that I will come in as a person to streamline things for them, to build out a framework, and everyone will have very clear goals that they can fulfill.
Right. So it sounds like you play a managerial role or a supervisor role
Mhm.
at your current position.
Yep.
Yeah, see that's what's super interesting about you, and I think is not only are you a leader, but you're very analytical, you're very data driven, but you're also creative, and you're also well, there's a lot of words that could be used, but you're again you brought in that interdisciplinary word,
Hmm.
and you mentioned in prior podcast too that you're using both your left side and your right side of your brain, so you've got that
Hmm.
creative side and that very analytical side, but you're
Hmm.
also very visible online, and I know I'm sure you're making an intentional push to do that, but
Hmm.
you're just want to compliment you. Like your website is, it's phenomenal. It's very clear. It's crisp. If someone wants to learn about multifamily syndications, I feel like your branding and marketing on your website makes it super easy for anyone
Thank you
to
so
go
much for
ahead
your
and do
kind
that.
words.
Yeah, no, I really mean it. What drew you into marketing? What drew you into real estate?
Yeah, so even before I have a marketing career, I originally had a academic research career. And then I like decided that maybe I would like to explore something new outside of teaching at a college. So like then that is the moment that I thought to myself, if I am going to be thrown in the middle of nowhere today and have to start over, what would I be doing? Will I be following my heart and do something that I truly like? Actually, the first step that I did is to take a wine and spirit sommelier course and go through the exam process. And then I thought at that time, I would be like working in a winery. Well, things didn't happen that way, but I end up working for a marketing agency that hires me originally because they need someone that has a mixed background of e-commerce and wine and spirit, which is a rare find. And like that's how I got my current job and like how I like paved my way into my marketing career. And then I branched out to real estate to at the very beginning, like drawing a lot of the momentum from my analytical work, from my data analysis skills, and also my way of thinking about like business operations.
So yeah, you followed your spirit and got to the wine industry, then marketing, and then real estate. I had a question there about that. Like you mentioned your family had done it the opposite way before. They have cash flowing businesses and then they decided to get into
hmm
real estate. How did that influence your decision? Like at what age were you decided I want to get in on real estate?
Hmm, that is an interesting question because I feel that now I'm at my age. I feel that it turns out that entrepreneurial spirit has always been in my heart. I just did not realize that when I go into an academic career or marketing career. One thing though that like struck me for a long time and I'm very thankful for the impact is from my father. I have always known him as someone who makes great connections with people. He is always surrounded by a lot of friends and he is always a very genuine person, meaning that like if he wants to help people, he truly wants to help and it not in a manner that he is looking for something in return. And that actually wins him a lot of great business connections, great friends, and like sometimes I am and like sometimes people who will come back and connect with you in different ways at different points of your life sometimes. I think this is
Yeah.
so I think this is like very impactful to the way I do business. It turns out that I am also a very outgoing person, so I have a lot of friends and connections. And like the thing I will always remember is to have a like purpose or a genuine heart to help people and not think about anything in return because I sincerely believe that people can be connected in many ways and sometimes unexpected ways.
Yeah, and that's the one of the cool things about you is that a lot of analytical people are very not outgoing, but you are outgoing. And you kind of mix the two, like the creative and well, I'll say the creative, but the analytical and the being outgoing. Would you describe yourself as an extrovert or introvert?
Yeah, I think I am an extrovert.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And then the other side to that is the creative side. You have like, like the starving artist, and then you have the blue collar minded individual who's just, by the
Mhm.
numbers or, follows the protocol. So it sounds like you have a kind of a blend of those two as well, which is super fascinating. Have you ever like taken a Clifton Strengths test or like kind of like developed that had to develop one side or the
Yeah,
other
I
more?
have not taken the Clifton Strength tests, but like I do know my MBTI. Like it turns out that I am an ENTJ, so like which is a commander. So like it is true that I can be providing direction to people and I can be setting up systems for people to follow as well. But one thing that is always true is that I have team in my heart, meaning that to me, I don't necessarily want to always go alone. I want to go with a team so people can feed each other with their energy, with their resources and great ideas. And I think like this is the way to go from 100 to 110.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you look for a team, what kind of characteristics are you looking for in a partner or a team? I mean, obviously, being
Yep.
ethical and treating people right is important to you, but other than that, I mean, personality wise, is there like, if just say if I go out and find a team, I'm gonna go find someone that is probably really good at like analytical stuff, that's good at running the
Right.
numbers. But like when you look for someone, are you looking for someone more that's a little bit more extroverted to you, or a little bit more like introverted and
I
analytical
Right. I
themselves?
don't have a preference. And the tricky part about this is that a lot of introverted people in reality are extroverted. And extroverted people can also be introverted in some occasions or in some situations. So I think like still I will be going a lot back to how genuine a person is, whether that person is honest and really have a heart to grow and learn. This also applies to when I hire people as well. I tend to hire people who wants to grow and learn and has that sense or mindset of curiosity, because like in a team environment, no matter how big or how small a company is, there will always be new emerging things that you have to tackle. And time and again, it is proven that only someone with genuine curiosity to learn and are hungry for knowledge will be motivated to do something.
Interesting. Yeah. So let me ask this for an example. Is there a skill set that you're working on right now? Is there something that you feel like you need to work on a little bit more to move to that next
Right.
level?
I have to admit, I may or may not be the best person to read other people. Tend to think a lot about processes. I tend to think a lot about systems. So I think like if I have to improve on this or take myself to the next level, what I am working on it, what I to of train myself to ask the right question before going into a partnership as well. For example, most recently I had a partnership discussion with a group of my friends who all wants to like go into e-commerce business. I may or may not join them as one of the partners, but I am there to advise. And one of the things that or one of the discussion topics that comes back again and again is asking the right question to get the idea of who they are, what they want out of the project, and how they work. So because of this, are when I conduct my little interview for this kind of things, there are several questions I would always pose and ask. For example, I really like to ask people how they spend their free time during weekends. And I would want to see whether they read books, whether they listen to podcasts, whether they are still in a learning mode when they're resting. And meaning that like whether they like valuetainment, for example. And another question I would always ask when hiring people or working with partner would be, if I have to ask you to bring one person into the mix or into the team, who would that be and why? And that way, I tend to will be able to get answers about how that person read his or her own strengths and weaknesses, and how that person would suggest a person that complements their skill sets.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of this, my curiosity drives from like how much is this like intentional and how much is this come natural to you? That is just kind of a fascinating thing I've been researching, like when looking at people, how much, successful people are, what part of them kind of came natural and, what kind of part did they have to like intentionally learn and, you take like a Steve Jobs,
Mhm.
for example, and, the impact he made, like, the man, the myth, the legend, right? So I'm sure a lot of it is, in retrospect, like, and we could talk about his life, but when he would go in and just ask people questions or make a bold statement, or push people to do something that hadn't been
Mhm.
done before. Um, I'm just curious, like I want to ask how much of this is intentional, like and how much do you like what comes natural to you?
Yeah. So, interestingly, the answer to me is around 50-50. Like, I think half of it comes from work experience that you acquire because you're thrown into an environment that really forces you to think about solution and you have to do it. And then another 50% is from your own learning. If you get onto podcasts, there are actually a lot of great people or gurus talking about these things, and they would recommend interviewing questions when if you are a people manager as well. So these are like different ways that I absorb the knowledge and learn. And one tip I would give to other people as well is that no matter what you are doing, no matter it's marketing, real estate, or your other business endeavor, one thing that or one way that I learned that I think makes me grow very, very quickly is to always pay attention to other people's thinking framework, not exactly the facts. Because what will happen is that if a good presenter of content usually has already the content structured in a certain way, and the way to learn is to adopt their ways of thinking or their thinking framework. After you have that skeleton, you put your own things in with your own experience and it becomes your own thing. So I think this is the most powerful way to learn, and I highly recommend this to everybody.
Interesting. Can you give an example of a time you've done that,
Right.
or with a person that you've done that
So
with?
yes, so for example, like I am currently like exploring ways to like instead of like multifamily real estate, I am also like thinking about ways to acquire cash flowing businesses, for example. And then we can, and then like if you go to like coaches such as Cody Sanchez, for example, she would be having like a SOW approach to like evaluating a business, and that is already one framework that allows you to think about what are the things you have to hit when evaluating a business. Or actually, in reality, you can totally adopt the same ways of thinking in multifamily. So that way you can add things to it, you can fine tune it, and then like it becomes your own thing.
Interesting. Are there any books that you would recommend for someone that wants to be in your position, whether it's mindset books, business books, like different category of books to build a well-rounded person? Because a lot of what you have it's very well-rounded, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is there books that really stood out to you?
I would actually recommend Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. Although it is a book a lot about women leadership, the book actually talks a lot about how she deals with business problems, how she thinks, and how she handles uh, like people relationship. So like I would say that no matter like what gender you are, it is a great book just in general for business people to think a lot about how to think about a business and how to fuse your own personal experience into the delivery so you make the most out of it.
Awesome. When you decide to study a topic, whether it's marketing or syndications or buying a business or e-commerce, how do you go about doing that? I mean, you mentioned that you've maybe find a guru or someone who's done the thing, and then you build their framework,
Mhm.
or you get their framework and add your individual information
Mhm.
bits in there. But it sounds like to me, from when I've heard you talk, that you really go deep into something before moving on to the next thing. Am I correct
Yes,
with that?
totally.
You do a deep
Yeah.
dive?
So here is my step-by-step guide on how I do this kind of research and how I make myself learn something. And I think like this might be the very first time I'm sharing it with people in a systematic way. So my very first step is
So
to open a empty blank Word document. Write down a number of questions you want to get answers from about a certain topic. Those questions normally would be something you need to know before moving forward, or something in related to the background knowledge you have to get in order to understand something. Just freely write questions without thinking a lot. And then the next step is not to research into those questions and find answers immediately, but rather to put those questions or bullet points you think about in a logical order. Very often, the easiest way of doing it is to put it in a chronological order, meaning that you start from the beginning, what should come first and what should come next. That would be the start of your skeleton framework of thinking through a problem holistically. And then you will be ready to find answers to those questions. I always recommend having a blank Word document and taking notes. And when you take notes, don't write down paragraphs. Always write down bullet points. The reason is that the more you write things down, the more you will find that you will run into situations that you want to move bullet points around or even put bullet points together for clarity purposes. The way to write down the very good research notes on anything is to have only one bullet point talking about one main point, and one bullet point should contain all the information related to that bullet point that will help you understand basically everything around that topic. So the way to do it is to have one topic, have a topic sentence, a subtopic sentence, or a question, and under each topic, you will be writing down different bullet points. And finally, the holy grail is to put these bullet points in order and then like move the different paragraphs or subtopics all together as a chunk to make everything flow logically. That way, if you go through this process again and again, I'm sure that you will like come into a situation where you keep refining your thinking process. You will deeply understand a topic and everything will flow very logical to you.
Interesting. What if you just write a bunch of questions and then you copy and paste it into ChatGPT and just have ChatGPT arrange it for you?
Uh, from my experience, that does not work all the time because ChatGPT can contain mistakes and I catch them all the time. ChatGPT is also a system that does not follow your instructions all the time, and I run into that all the time. So there is no problem using ChatGPT, but always stay diligent and check against whether ChatGPT follow your instructions closely. Sometimes they just assume that your information is not important and they skip it over and produce their own stuff, and that happens all the time. And finally, there are many large language models, meaning generative AI systems out there, and ChatGPT is not the only one. I would recommend you pick something that works for you particularly depending on your purpose. For example, if you have absolutely no idea on the topic, I would not use ChatGPT. I would go to Microsoft Copilot AI because it always produces answers that gives you links to an article and you can prove that it is not lying. And then, yes,
Oh,
and then
interesting.
if you are in coding or programming, I think the best tool for coding is not ChatGPT either. It's Claude AI by Anthropic. So what I'm trying to say here is that depending on your purpose, just always be diligent that like AI is not perfect yet, at least at this moment. Like we cannot talk about the future. And there are many AI tool offers out there that can be good in their own ways.
Yeah, I asked that kind of tongue in cheek because it's sort of like a cheat code of like doing the mental, like really
Mhm,
understanding a topic in detail as you laid out in your
mhm,
step-by-step process. ChatGPT is awesome, and so is Microsoft
mhm.
Copilot. I got it pulled up here on my computer right now. But I wanted to ask like how you're using technology in your business, but before that, I just didn't want to skip this. Any books right now? Like, is there any? What book are you in the middle of right now, or what podcasts are you doing a deep dive into right
Well,
now?
I am I am currently not reading anything at the moment. The reason is that I am in the process of tidying up my own house. I actually just onboard my own marketing team that will be producing educational content on my behalf and will support me in doing that. Because of this, most recently, I am actually reading a lot of analytical articles and research papers on the most recent market trends and also economic data. But yeah, like actually, like a forward here is that I am going to publish our 2025 Q1 market report, sharing with our investors what we are seeing in the front line of the market. So it will be out next month, more to come.
Wow, is that on your newsletter from your
Yes,
website?
we'll be announcing about it in the newsletter. We will be putting it on our website, downloadable for everybody as well.
Great, yeah. Here I got your website here pulled up too. Yeah, I mean, I signed up for your newsletter here and then
Yeah,
subscribed to your newsletter. And like I said, a great website too. It's just very clean and very easy to use. It's got a bunch of stuff that you want to click on and the free
yeah.
webinar and all that stuff. I clicked on that. So, but yeah, steadyworkcapital.com. That's great. With that said, you said using technology in your business. There's so many different questions too I have to ask. But you hired a whole team to help you out with this. It sounds like that's really important is getting people drawn in and getting connected with you. Can you talk a little bit about that
Right,
and like kind of what your goals are
right.
there?
So I just consistently feel that there is a gap between people understanding personal finances, making a move to invest, and versus truly understanding what this business model is about. Well, I don't blame anybody. It's nobody's fault because at the end of the day, these are three very different things. And these are also requiring completely different levels of deep knowledge you have to have around things like investment funds, multifamily real estate, and things like that. So now I have team members supporting me in producing educational content for people. My goal is really to share the knowledge and to help people avoid mistakes I have done before. Because like if I've already paid for my lesson, there is no reason for other people to be doing the same repeatedly. Yeah. And another thing is that we are intensively using AI to like in our day-to-day work as well. For example, our content team is using AI to generate the content and to streamline some of the workflow, although it really cannot replace like my input or anybody's input. We're not there yet. And AI is like to me most powerful in data analytics still. That's why like in our multifamily underwriting, we are actually using Cashflow Portal's AI-based underwriting tool, which can successfully and easily create different financial scenarios, CapEx scenarios, and also like different equity stacks. That way we can easily compare what will happen when we offer an asset at a certain price, how much we will be really making if we spend at a certain level for CapEx and like also facilitate us in submitting, for example, a dual LOIs in some cases, meaning that like we are competing with other people in terms, not only on the price.
Right. When you say dual LOIs, is that like, hey, we're and see if it's a single
Mhm.
family deal for comparison. So, people will send a real estate agent like, this is our cash offer and here's is our creative offer. Is that what you
Yes.
mean by dual?
So
Okay.
like we submit like we can be submitting two offers with different offer with a different purchase price, and that is because like we are backed by different terms.
Okay, interesting. And so you're running these models. So you plug in the numbers to the system, and then it runs the models for you. And does it work off a probability? Like what's more likely to happen, the water heater
Right.
going out, or this or that?
Correct. And so yeah, the AI tool is most powerful when it comes to what is called sensitivity analysis, meaning that we are looking at a scale comparing in the XY axis how much change in capitalization rate can impact all different performance metrics, or how much rent growth we're able to get will eventually impact our exit price, that kind of thing. So that way, when everything is in a scale, we know how safe or how dangerous or how strong a deal is because like we know that certain things are more sensitive than market factors than the others, and like that way we know we have a way better visibility into how strong a deal is.
Interesting. I was going to ask you because you're one of the few people I've ever talked to that does really strong market research. Can you speak on, I know it's not a simple answer, but can you speak on to how much, when you're underwriting a multifamily property, how much does the market come into play, like the market factors versus the actual individual complex that you're looking at?
I tend to I would say I used to think that market research is 70% and the deal itself is 30. Now I would say it's 50-50 or even like 40-60. The reason is that I have changed over time. At the very beginning when I had when I started my real estate career, I think like macroeconomics are factors that you cannot change, so you have to work with it. And I drill very, very deep into the analytical side of doing market research. But like as time goes by, I actually come to understand that real estate has a lot to do with local dynamics, and there is a lot of local level supply and demand factors that you have to think about, the local job growth that you have to think about, for example. And also, most importantly, operations is everything. If you don't have operations, you're not making money. And no matter how good the macro environment is, you're not going to win. So now I have changed to a mindset that I would focus a lot about on ground operational excellence. And in this regard, meticulous to details is very important, meaning that even getting $10 or $20 here and there can have a big impact on your P&L because things roll up. And this will be, and now when I'm working with my partners, these are things I focus a lot on this is also my way of screening whether an operator is good or not.
Interesting. So you're saying when it even something about $10 or $20 can be a lot because you multiply it by, X amount of units and it becomes a bigger number and it covers maybe covers
Right.
expenses in another area or this or that to
Yeah.
help the
Or
bottom line.
Or another way to think about it is that because real estate is a interest rate sensitive investment vehicle. So because of this, like if you are running a business such as multifamily operation, actually like any kind of cash flowing business as well, at the very beginning, every penny you spend has to be meaningful. You have to be diligent on it. And in reality, there is no room for wasteful spending, which I think is the number one mistake that a lot of new entrepreneurs make. Is that they don't think everything as an investment, but in reality, not everything produces a return.
Interesting. Yeah. It's kind of like I was listening to Pace Morby talk about how he was doing a flip and he spent all this extra time and energy on beautifying the backyard and making it look really nice. When at a certain point, there's a point of diminishing returns to the point where you're not getting the money that you put into it
Mhm.
on the back end. So
Right.
with that, multifamily is such a beast. There's a lot of people, there's a lot more single family homes than there are multifamily properties in the country. So single family gets a lot of the attention. But I think everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people have this perception that they want to graduate on a multifamily. Does someone go? Like, what skill set is needed to become good at multifamily?
First of all, I would warn that multifamily is not everybody. Please pick your lane carefully.
Yeah.
I would say this in a very practical and very realistic way. Multifamily is something that you make your big money when you have multiple assets all cash flowing and your biggest paycheck is at the exit, meaning that when you sell it. So I actually think people getting into multifamily should have other streams of income when they start. I have definitely run into scammers or dishonest operators, unfortunately, that they really struggle when they start their career in doing multifamily because they actually don't have a W-2 job, they don't have other stream of income. They have every motivation to squeeze people out or to screw people over. So you don't want to be that person and you don't want to be that in that stressful level. And then we can talk about skill sets. Like, and underwriting is really important. Even if you're not good at it, learn how to read the numbers should be like a requirement of everybody. And also, as no matter what you're doing, you will eventually come back and find out that your knowledge or your experience in fix and flip turns out to be the most important. And that is because if you are acquiring a multifamily, very often you are making sweat equity, meaning that your biggest paycheck will come from the value add. Then it does not go away from what you do with a fix and flip. It's just that you are doing a elongated fix and flip for multiple units that spans over 1 to 2 years. So if you have to go back to the 101 basic, fix and flip is your 101 basic.
That's really interesting because when I think of multifamily, I think of cash flow, like buy and hold. You're making your rent and you times it by 100 people, and then that's minus the expenses, and that's your cash flow. Here that was really interesting that you made it as like a long, elongated fix and flip because that's where you make most of your money, as you said a couple times. That's really helpful to know. When you talked about make sure you vet your partners carefully, there's a lot of incentive for people to screw you over with the money. Are there subtle red flags that you've caught early or that you could go back and you would um, tell yourself, 10 years ago, okay, these are red flags. Watch out if someone does this.
It really everyone's experience is different, but I think early red flags would be certain people going away to do their own thing, and in emails or communications do not include anybody. So that would be the first signs of somebody trying to build their own inner circle, picking only who they want to work with, and try to squeeze other people out. also also I would encourage everyone to have a transparent conversation with all your team members whose responsibilities are, because what can happen is that it actually happens as well in a corporate America environment, which is that people can become irrespectful of your scope and your expertise. Sometimes they may have tendency to slowly encroach into things that you are responsible for and you should be doing, and grab them those responsibilities as their own. Yes, they did deliver. They did do what they said, but if it is originally your responsibility, not theirs, stay firm. Because at the end of the day, if you come out of it, that person can easily tell other people that you are the lazy person, you did not do anything, and she or he end up doing everything for you, and that's why that person deserves the lion's share.
Interesting. Okay. So
Yeah.
you
So
mentioned working on being able to read people better. Is that kind of what inspired you to want to be able to read people better is to evaluate whether this is a good partnership or not?
yes and no. Yes and no. I trust my gut and not trust my gut at the same time. I find evidence that can predict people's personality traits and future behavior. So I don't rely on gut and that in that point. I think it is very dangerous for people to just rely on gut, because a lot of people are really good at marketing and packaging themselves. But like at the same time, like I think like if you work long enough and see like how people work long enough, there is a chance that you can see similar traits of where that people's minds are going or behavior is going.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the mix between
Yep.
the gut and the analytical is in you, where um part of you kind of answered with like, hey, trust your gut, like kind of that one side of your brain, and then the other side it kind of sounded like more of like an analytical computer. Like, hey, like past behavior will determine future. So there's a balance there, right? Of not just choosing one or the other. But I just want to point out how interesting it is to hear you think about these sort of things, because you're taking into all the facts, and then you're also kind of just feeling people out too. Is that right? I feel like
Mhm.
you're making a face right there. Is that you're evaluating whether I'm saying it is true or not? Is that fair, or am I totally mischaracterizing you on that?
Oh no, like so yeah. Well, I think like it is. It's just a no. I think like it's just a matter of like staying true to yourself. Always like stay genuine and be who you are, and like be like and also like stick to an open mind of accepting who other people are. And you totally like when you come across people who are not who may not work with you as a good partner, you totally do not have to be aggressive, or you totally do not need to like get angry at all. It's just a matter of you maybe walking away or staying away from those people. Like the only thing I would warn is that protect yourself, stay safe in an investing environment, because at the end of the day, you are the person who is the guardian of your own money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, multifamily to someone like me is kind of like a big beast. Like it's hard to, it's like an elephant. I'm trying to, touch all sides of it and just get a feel for what I'm looking at.
Mhm,
There's a lot of questions that you could ask there too.
mhm,
Let me just ask this about you first, because you wear a lot of different hats, and a lot of people don't have a lot of, I don't want to say balance, but a lot of balance, I guess. I don't know.
mhm.
So you wear a lot of different hats, right? You're a leader. You lead people at your W-2. It sounds like you lead people on your team with multifamily underwriting, right? I might think you guys mentioned you underwrite about 20 deals a week. Is that still the case?
Yes, yeah. I'm fortunate enough to have different partners coming to me or to us wanting to collaborate. Yeah, we are proactively underwriting deals and submitting LOIs. So yeah, like we are a very active team. And yes,
Okay.
I love partnering with people at different capacity, no matter there is underwriting or capital raising needs.
Right. And the word I was looking for is complementary skill sets. A lot of people don't have complementary skill sets. They might be really good at this thing and then that thing and then really bad in between. But you mentioned being a leader, like again, Sheryl Sandberg. You're very good at underwriting, right? You do a lot of, by the numbers. You do a lot of research on the markets, that you look into. So you have a lot of research in that regards. And then capital raising is something we haven't even touched. I feel like it's something that it's maybe kind of like one of the things that you're doing a lot, but I
Sure.
haven't heard a whole lot about it. Can you talk about some of these things that
Right.
like especially the capital raising? How is that going for you?
Great. So I think like doing capital raising right now is really interesting in several ways. One is that everyone is using AI to do it, but like the adoption or the correct adoption of it is still low in my mind. Meaning that there are a lot of people talking about creating content using AI for capital raising, but like in reality, not many people are really using AI or really using AI in the right way. Another thing is that I think like the discussion about the use of technology and AI is still a lot in on the level of content creation, but there are more things that can be done. For example, if we can benchmark the performance of content piece and we start to track like things like their engagement rate or how many comments and like views we are able to see, I think like we'll have a better idea of how content really perform. So it's all about like KPI measurements that not a lot of people are doing right now. And finally, when it comes to capital raising, I personally see the trend going to the direction of everyone going ahead and build their own personal identity or personal brand instead of a company brand. So I think this will be the focus in the upcoming 4 to 5 years, and everyone should start doing this now if they haven't.
Right, and a lot of people get into real estate too with the expectation that they're going to quit their jobs right away and all that stuff. But I know
Mhm.
you aren't like that. Is there a plan in the future where you want to say, hey, like I want to, live off of this X amount of cash flow, and this is the point where I want to retire and just focus on real estate or cash
Mm,
flowing businesses or e-commerce?
Based on my understanding of my own personality, no, it is quite unlikely that I'm going to quit my W-2 job. Yeah, I love what I do and I am still growing and learning a lot in my own industry. But like, it's just that like real estate is also something like that interests me and I don't want to give up. So yeah, I guess I'm in the field of knowledge, I am going to stay hungry, foolish, and also greedy.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I like those three things. That's a fun way of putting it. Again, I wanted to kind of come back to the multifamily being a beast sort of thing. So what is the most important skill set or two or three skill sets that someone needs to get into multifamily? And then how can they take those and actually tangibly get into it? So like underwriting, capital raising, researching, are these the three most important things, or is there something I'm missing here? Like what could someone that's watching this that's new to it do to start researching or learning about?
If I would say if you want to get into multifamily, probably the easiest way to do it is to raise capital for someone else's project. But like we say the easiest, but it is not easy because in order to persuade other people to invest with you or to partner with you, you will actually have to show that you have certain level of understanding of multifamily, and that's why you are trustworthy. So I would say just be prepared. Most of the operators, if they have to go from 0 to 1, meaning that if they have no deals in hand and then they get hold of the very first deal, it takes around 1.5 to 2 years on average. And I hear this again and again from operators who are very successful now, having a 10 to 20-year career. Most people give up in the first year or after 1.5 year because there is absolutely no money coming in, and they cannot survive. They cannot survive the first 2 to 3 years just learning and looking for deals with no income in, and that is a very common thing about multifamily. So I would say if you really want to get in, just have the right expectation. It would be ideal if you have multiple stream of income to help you and to sustain you and to support you. And at the same time, start from building relationship with people, which would funnel into your capital raising efforts. And in this pathway, grow your knowledge on multifamily so you can do a better job in telling other people the value of multifamily investing.
Where do you go to start learning about this so you really understand what you're looking at when you're presented with an opportunity? You want to be able to explain the deal to someone who's brand new at real estate or maybe is adequate at real estate, but you want to raise capital and you think it's a good investment opportunity. But how do you get that skill to where you're confident? Is there a certain book or website or podcast that you listen to that really helps you like understand, wrap your head around the numbers, or what to even look for in a multifamily underwrite?
So, like a lot of people, I first go to YouTube University just to grab a like high level idea of what multifamily is. And then I got very fortunate to be able to join some of the free mastermind group out there that like gathers people like who wants to do multifamily so they can bounce ideas off to each other. And then there are also online courses that you can pay, like not very they're not very expensive, just for you to learn about underwriting. I highly recommend those because the more you think about underwriting, the more you will understand that by learning underwriting, they actually force you to think a lot about the different processes or the different parts of the beast. And it is just that like you are asked to put different parts of the business, express it into a number and put it back onto a spreadsheet. So now what I always tell people is that you also need a new thinking about underwriting. Underwriting is not only about research and data analysis, it actually helps you understand the full picture of how operations work.
Interesting. Was there any specific mentorships or programs that you recommend?
I personally like Michael Blank's underwriting course. I feel like which should be around 150 to $200. It is also one of the underwriting model or spreadsheet that is most popular among multifamily operators. So yeah, if I want to learn the high level of underwriting and just to get your wheels turning in the right way, I think like starting from Michael Blank's underwriting course is a really good one.
Interesting. So getting that underwriting, Michael Blanks, and getting that knowledge is probably the first and foremost step. And then joining a community and finding people, networking is another thing. And that's why I keep bringing it up. And I think like networking and underwriting are two like almost opposite skills. Because one, you're in your kind of in your room, like running the numbers, and the other one, you're like at an event meetup and you're talking to people. So those are two things that are kind of like I won't say a contradiction, but they're competing skill sets and with which is very interesting. That's why it interests me. It's just kind of a dynamic role. Well, how are you getting your capital raising leads? Like how are you booking conversations and talking to people, accredited or non-accredited investors?
Right. I run my marketing funnel in doing that. So we are actually now in the process of refining our process. We hire professionals to help us build landing pages and websites. And we also post content, educational content on social media. So like from time to time, I get people reach out to me about underwriting needs, capital raising needs, and when they know that I am a thought leader in the industry. So yeah, this is what I talk about just now about personal branding. Everyone will eventually need to become a thought leader in the industry to be known, and you are leading by sharing your thoughts and insights so people can navigate through the muddy waters of multifamily better.
Interesting. If you're brand new here, what's the first thing that you recommend that they do? I know just mentioned underwriting and, you were talking about, because what you have is sort of like step 20 out of step one.
Mhm.
You have these funnels, you have like a team that you're hiring, you have a beautiful website, you're very active and you have an understanding of all this stuff. But someone else that doesn't, maybe they're coming from the single family world or wholesaling world, is there like a community that they should get in right away to like start talking to people? Or what do you recommend?
Right. If you are starting as a blank sheet or starting from zero, my recommendation is to go to your local real estate meetup or your own real estate community. Go and do a search and look for people who need capital or who has a project. Have a chit chat with them to see what their needs are and whether there is a chance you can bring value to them by bringing investors to them. In this process, don't only ask about the project, also ask about their experience and see what kind of investors they are looking for, what does capital raising mean to their business, and by joining them, whether they would be agree to show you the process behind the scenes. Like probably this is the shortest cut to the knowledge base that you eventually will need to grasp.
Interesting. So when you talk to investors, the kind of investors you work with, what are they usually looking for? What are their biggest needs?
It turns out that they are all completely different and it all ties back what I call their investor avatar, meaning that if you are capital raising, you probably want to focus on only one type of investor to start with and not to confuse yourself, but think really, really deep into their needs. For example, I focus on raising capital from tech workers. And interestingly, their mentality is always that, or 90% out of it is that tech world is very toxic. I want to get out of it ASAP. You actually don't necessarily see this in other professions, or not all the professions out there. So based on this feedback, then when you talk to your investor, if they're tech workers, the way to tell the story is that I can get you out of the toxic tech world and save you from the worries of consistent layoffs happening round and round if you invest in multifamily to start generating another stream of income. So that way you are tailoring the message to really come home to what their biggest worries and fears are, and they will have more alignment into your investing philosophy.
Interesting. So you talked to a lot of tech workers. Did you have any experience in tech before this?
Yes and no. Although I have a marketing career, in all my past roles, I have been leading sometimes like software development and dashboard development because of work needs. So because of this, I am pretty fluent in tech and also solutions that are offered in my industry. And like I also like work with a lot of data scientists and software engineers in investing, and like again and again, um, they can be consistently bringing up the idea that they worry about their jobs, they don't like their jobs, they think that like the industry is very toxic.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, it's kind of like the golden handcuffs situation where they're getting paid a lot and they can't break out of it, and they're looking for a way out, and you have the knowledge and expertise to help. Is that correct?
Right. So
Does that sound right?
yeah, because of this, like if you are starting, the the other way to start working on capital raising can also be that think about from whom you want to raise capital first, and think really deeply about their needs. And then you go ahead and tailor your story and your messaging around what that person wants to hear or what that person needs are at the moment.
Interesting. And you brought up the investor avatar. I've used a lot of words to try to describe you, or what I thought from learning about you. I want to hear what is your investor avatar, and like what are some words that you would use to describe yourself?
Interesting. I think I am a mix of tech background investor and also business driven investor. One thing in common with these two avatars is that they are they focus a lot about data and processes, meaning that like if you have to pitch a project to me, you will have to persuade me that even if something goes wrong, you have a plan for it. You have a set process to resolve issues, and you don't just sit there to wait for things to happen. And at the same time, I also eye on results and returns. So you have to present to me clearly what your expected returns are and how you come to that arrive at that numbers when you are doing your underwriting. So yeah, so like this is me, and like this is how you will be pitching a project to me, I guess.
Interesting too. What are some like personal like traits that you would use to describe yourself? Like,
I am a hard worker. I value hard work. I value hard work a lot. Still, I am fairly traditional in this in this regard. I am very analytical. And one thing I would highlight is that I was like originally trained as a historian. I wasn't born to be mathy. I wasn't born to be analytical. So if any one of you out there listening to this want to be analytical, just remember that you are not blocked by your background, not blocked by your academic work prior, then there is absolutely a way for anybody to be analytical. And you just need to go through the experience and training. So don't get discouraged. Yeah. And then
right.
I am a very tidy person. And because of this, I am very process driven in my work. And I am basically a big fan of SOPs and checklists.
Interesting. Well, I have to ask, what period of history did you focus on the most, and what part did you find the most interesting in studying?
Yeah, formerly 20th century, because like this is really the period of a lot of competing discourse of like humanity thinking and also philosophy clashing to each other. And there is also finally the time of more cultures talking to each other. So it is actually a treasure trove of understanding how people think. And yeah, it still fascinates me. Like, and now that I am no longer a historian or no longer an academic, I still find myself like bringing my historian mind or research mind into work. For example, if I have to deep dive into something, I always write down very long notes and I think about the things in chronological order. So I guess like at the end of the day, or like deep in my heart, I'm still a historian.
Interesting. Yeah, that's like very insightful that what you just mentioned about the 20th century and humanity talking to each other, being more interconnected. The world is flat type of thinking. That could be a whole another 3-hour podcast right there. I'm sure that you'd be ready to chat about that. But what is your 1 year, 5 year, 10 year goal?
Yeah, we for now, like we are focusing on acquiring more multifamily assets. Local to my in my area, I am also doing fix and flip and trying to get into ground up development. In 3 years, we now have a business plan to do more affordable housing. It's just that like it has always been something that is dear to my heart. I would love to give back and provide more to the community when I have the ability to. So yeah, more to come. I always joke that like I say I'm going to do it. I will be more than happy to have all of you check on my work and see whether I'm really doing it in 3 years.
Yeah, interesting. And then you keep saying we. I don't know if we even touched on this, but who is we? Because we've talked a lot about Michella, but like I'm guessing there's a team or some people that you're working with.
Right. Yeah. I partner with different people on different teams and in different projects. I have been really, really fortunate to be able to gain a lot of trust from different partners who would always support me in my interview and also who have very high level of trust in the quality of work I'm going to deliver. So yeah, like some of them are from Sub 2, some of them are not. But like regardless, like I see everybody as my team members and I am here to deliver the best so we maximize our chances of success.
Interesting. Sounds you're very strategic, and everything that you had mentioned before about picking your partners and working with them and providing value. Is there ever a time where you're not working on real estate or working your W-2? What do you do when, on the weekends when you're when
Yeah,
you're when you're not doing that?
yeah, I am a boxer, so I do boxing in my free time. Otherwise, like I am always on business related podcasts or real estate related podcasts as well. Like I just love to learn when I drive. My mind like has like is getting absorbing more and more value even when I'm free.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned before that you look for people that find entertainment and providing value or learning skill sets, learning things, instead of just turning off their brain and watching TV or whatever. That sounded like that was important to you, and I'm guessing that's because that is important to you, and that's how you
Mhm.
operate in your life. Is there like a lifetime goal, like at the end of 10, 20 years, like where you want to be and what you want to have accomplished by then?
Yes and no. I have a rough idea that I would like to have my own charitable organization or a charity fund that I would do more work. I just feel that this is still like a field that needs more structured and process to do the things you truly believe in. So yeah, we'll see whether I get there in 20 years.
Okay. Is there any way that people can help you out on your journey to get there, to get to this point where you're acquiring more multifamily, you're breaking into affordable living, and then you're starting charities?
Yeah, I would appreciate if you have a deal and if you have a multifamily deal and you don't know what to do about it, I welcome you reaching out to me and see how we can work together to bring it to the finish line. And also, like just in case you have money sitting around, instead of only considering private money lending, investing passively on multifamily is also a great choice because like that way you're not only making interest money, you are also growing your equity. So I think like just in case you are already doing private money lending and you have capital, please reach out to me as well. Like as we may have a longer term real estate project that can like realistically like grow your money over time.
Right. And I'm sure with everything that people have heard, if they've gotten this far, is with the amount of diligence that you put into analyzing a deal and your emphasis on ethics, I'd recommend that you'd be a good bet as any to put your money in with whatever deal that you say is a good deal, right? So
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to leave my money like sitting around in the bank and just
Mhm.
letting inflation eat it. I'd wanna if I was gonna put it somewhere, and it wasn't tied up, I would put it up, with someone like you that has done the research, that has the expertise, that the years of experience on whoever is listening to this, to make sure that money is put to good use and growing and setting you up for the future. Where can people talk to you? You mentioned social media. I know you're on Threads and Facebook and Instagram. Is there anything I'm missing there? YouTube?
Yeah, no, like that's everything. So, yep, you can, anyone can DM me on my Instagram. My handle is Invest with Mitch. And if you like, you can also email me at info@steadyworkcapital.com. And if you go to my website, steadyworkcapital.com, you'll be able to book a call with me or to subscribe to my investor newsletter as well. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Michelle. We really appreciate it. I really learned a lot, and that was super cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Well, take care, guys. I hope that people will come to your website too. Again, beautiful website. Reach out to you, and other than that, I hope everyone has a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.